I worked under the burning sun carrying heavy sacks. Saving secretly. Just to buy her the shoes she wanted. But when I placed them in front of her, she said her feet already walked with someone else. I'm writing this because I need to get it out. Because the weight of what I did is crushing me, and maybe if I tell anyone it won't. But I have to try. Her name was Sarah, we'd been together 3 years. Living together, for a solid. I thought we were forever. I worked construction. 12-hour days in the Texas heat, hauling 50-pound cement bags until my back screamed and my hands blowed through the gloves. The pay wasn't great, but it was honest work. Sarah worked at a boutique downtown, always coming home with stories about the beautiful things she couldn't afford. She'd been eyeing these designer heels for months. Red leather, Italian made, $300. She'd show me pictures on her phone, talking about how perfect they'd look with her black dress. How confident they'd make her feel. How she'd never owned anything that nice. I started skipping lunch, putting away 20 here, 30 there. Eating ramen for dinner, where she was at work so she wouldn't know I was saving. It took me 4 months to get the money together. 4 months of extra shifts and sore muscles, and telling it would be worth it to see her face light. The plan was perfect. I'd surprise her on our anniversary. Take her to that fancy restaurant she loved, then give her the shoes. Maybe even propose soon after. I had it all mapped out. But doesn't care about plans. 3 weeks before our anniversary, I met Maya at a work site. She was an architect, there to check on the foundation we'd poured. Tall, confident, wearing a hard hat like she owned the place. She asked about the project timeline and I found talking to her longer than necessary. She came back the next day. And the next. Always professional, always polite, but there was something in the way she looked at me. Like I was interesting. Like I mattered. Sarah had been distant lately, working late, distracted when she came home. When I tried to talk to her about planning something special for our anniversary, she just shrugged and said she was tired. I told it was just work stress. Maya started bringing me coffee. Good coffee, not the gas station stuff I usually drank. She'd ask about my day, actually listen when I answered. She made me feel seen in a way I'd forgotten was possible. I know how this sounds. I know what thinking, guy feels neglected, pretty woman pays him attention, tale as old as time. Right. That's exactly what happened. And I for being such a cliché. It started with lunch. Just once she said. To thank me for being soulful with the project. I should have said no. I should have mentioned Sarah. I should have done 100 things differently, but I didn't. We went to a little cafe downtown. She ordered even though it was noon. Laughed at my jokes, asked about my dreams, my plans for the future. When was the last time Sarah had asked me about my dreams? The lunch turned into 2 lunches. Then coffee after work. Then drinks on Friday when Sarah was working late again. Maya would text me during the day, nothing inappropriate, just checking in. Making me feel like I was worth checking in on. I convinced we were just friends. That I wasn't doing anything wrong. That it was harmless. God, I was so. The night it happened, Sarah had cancelled our dinner work thing. I was angry, frustrated, feeling sorry for. Maya texted asking if I wanted to grab a drink. Said she'd had a rough day too. 1 drink became 3. 3 became stumbling back to her apartment. She lived in one of those modern lofts downtown, all exposed brick and floor, took ceiling windows. Everything in Sarah's and my place was secondhand. Mismatched furniture from thrift stores and hand-me-downs. I should have left. Should have called an Uber home. Should have remembered the woman who loved me, who was working late to build a future for both of us. Instead, I stayed. I won't go into details, I can't. But I crossed a line I can never uncross. Broke something I can never fix, became someone I never thought I'd be. I woke in Maya's bed at 3 a.m. with my phone buzzing. 17 missed calls from Sarah. My stomach dropped to the floor. The first text was from 10 p.m. Where are? Thought we could order pizza when I got home. I'm not answering. Midnight, I'm worried. Please call me. 1 a.m. I love. Whatever's wrong we can fix it. The last one, sent just minutes before I woke. See. I bought groceries for breakfast tomorrow. Can't wait to see Pa. I right there in Maya's pristine bathroom. I lost everything in my stomach and kept heaving until there was nothing left. Maya was still asleep when I left. I didn't leave a note. Didn't say goodbye. Just grabbed my clothes and ran. The drive home was the longest 20 minutes of my. Every red light felt like judgment. Every mile marker counted down to the moment I'd have to look Sarah in the eyes and lie. Because that's what I was planning to do. Lie. Tell her I'd been out with the guys. That my phone died. That I was sorry for not calling. I had the story all worked out by the time I pulled into our driveway. But Sarah was waiting at the kitchen table with those red Italian heels in front of her. The shoes I'd bled and sweat to buy. The surprise I'd been planning for weeks. Sitting there like an accusation. I found them in closet, she said without looking. Hidden behind work boots. My mouth opened but no words came out. I was looking for good shirt to wash it for tomorrow. Thought we could do something nice for the weekend. She finally looked at me and I saw she'd been crying. Were these for me? I nodded, unable to speak. They're beautiful, she whispered, touching the red leather like it might bite her. They must have cost everything. Sarah, I smell like perfume. Her voice was so quiet I almost didn't hear it. And not mine. The lie I'd prepared crumbled in my throat. She knew. Somehow she already knew. How long? She asked. It was just tonight. I swear, Sarah, it was just. How long have been planning to leave me? I wasn't. It didn't mean anything. She laughed. But it sounded like breaking glass. Then why does it so much? I reached for her but she pulled away. I worked extra shifts this week, she said, still staring at the shoes. Picked every available hour so I could take next weekend off. So we could spend time together. I was going to surprise dates to that baseball game I've been wanting to see. Each word was a between my ribs. I bought favorite. That expensive kind never let get. Made reservations at Luigi's for tomorrow night. Her voice cracked. I was going to tell I got promoted. That we could finally start looking at houses. Sarah, please. I trusted. She looked at me then, really looked at me, and I saw the exact moment her heart broke. I trusted completely. I never even questioned where we're. Never doubted for a second. The silence stretched between us like a chasm. Were ever going to tell me? She asked. I wanted to say yes. Wanted to lie again and pretend I was better than I was. But looking at her face, at the woman who'd loved me unconditionally 3 years, I couldn't do it. No. I whispered. She nodded like she'd expected it. Like she'd known I was exactly that kind of person and that hoped she was wrong. I can't even put them on, she said, gesturing to the shoes. Because you're right. My feet already walked somewhere else. Walked away from the moment, decided I wasn't enough. And that's what I'd realized, what I'd really lost. Not just Sarah. Not just our together. But the person I used to be. The man who would have died before hurting her. The man who worked under the burning sun just to make her smile. That man was gone. And I'd killed him with my own hands. Sarah moved out while I was at work 3 days later. I came home to half-empty rooms and a note on the kitchen counter. Not a long letter full of anger or accusations. Just 8 words that destroyed me more than any screaming match could have. I hope she was worth losing over. She'd left the red shoes on my pillow. I called her phone 50 times that first night, texted until my fingers went numb. Drove to her sister's house at 2 a.m. and sat in my truck outside, too ashamed to knock on the door. The next morning, her sister came out and told me Sarah didn't want to see me. That I'd done enough damage. She loved more than anything. Jess said, her voice sharp as broken glass. She bragged about to everyone. Showed off pictures of the two of like we're some kind of fairy tale. I tried to explain. To make her understand it was a mistake, that I was sorry. That I'd do anything to fix it. Want to know what hurts her the most? Jess me off. It's not even the cheating. It's that plan to lie about it. That we're going to come home and kiss her with another woman's perfume on shirt, and pretend everything was fine. She was right. The betrayal wasn't just one night. It was every moment after, when I would have looked Sarah in the eyes and lied. Every morning I would have woken next to her carrying that secret. Every time she would have said, I love, and I would have said it back knowing what I'd done. I was a coward. And cowards don't deserve happy endings. Work became. Not the physical kind I was used to, but something worse. Maya was still on the project. Still coming around asking about timelines and specifications. She tried to talk to me the first week after it happened. Hey, she said, approaching my truck during lunch break. You've been avoiding me. I couldn't even look at her. This woman who'd seemed so perfect. So interesting. So worth destroying my over. Standing there in her designer hard hat, she looked like exactly what she was. A stranger. Someone I'd thrown away 3 years of love for. That night was a mistake. I said, was it? She sat on my tailgate like she belonged there, right to casual intimacy with me. Because it felt pretty real. I have a girlfriend. Had. Her voice was matter of fact. Cold. Word travels fast on construction sites. Heard she moved out. The casual way she said it, like Sarah was just an obstacle that had been cleared away, made me sick. This wasn't some romantic movie where the other woman fights for love. This was real. Where people got and homes got broken. And good women walked away with suitcases full of shattered dreams. Stay away from me, I said. Maya laughed. Actually laughed, her acting like I forced. Like I tied and dragged to my apartment. She was right. That was the worst part. I couldn't even blame her. She was single, available, looking for a good time. I was the one with promises to keep. I was the one who chose to break them. Seemed pretty eager that night. She continued. Kept talking about how girlfriend didn't appreciate. How she was always working, never paid attention to anymore. Had I said that? Had I really sat there badmouthing Sarah, the woman who was working extra shifts to plan our future, while I was planning to betray her? I was. People tell the truth. Sober people lie to themselves. Maya finished her coffee and stood. When get tired of feeling sorry for, nowhere to find me. She walked away, and I realized I felt nothing watching her go. No attraction. No regret. Just disgust with forever thinking she was worth losing Sarah over. The guys at work found out within a week. Construction crews are like small towns, everyone knows everyone's business. At first, there were jokes, slaps on the back, comments about claying the field and keeping options open. But when they met Sarah at the company barbecue 2 months earlier, when they saw how she laughed at their jokes and brought homemade cookies, and bragged about me like I'd hung the moon, the jokes stopped. Now there were just looks. Disappointed shakes of the head, conversations that stopped when I walked by. Tommy, who'd worked beside me for 2 years, said it best during a lunch break, man. Sarah was the real deal. Whatever we're thinking, it wasn't worth it. He was right. They were all right. And their judgment was nothing compared to the I was putting through. I couldn't sleep in our bed. Couldn't look at the pictures on the walls or the coffee mug she'd forgotten in the sink. Everything reminded me of what I'd lost. What I'd thrown away for one selfish night. I started drinking, not just after work, but serious drinking. Whiskey for my coffee thermos. Anything to quiet the voice in my head telling me I was the worst kind of person. My work suffered. I showed late, made careless mistakes. Nearly got when I operated a crane with shaky hands and blurred vision. The foreman pulled me aside after I dropped a load of rebar that missed another worker by inches. Get act together or get off my site. He said, I don't kid what's going on at home. Or going to get someone killed. Home. That word felt like a joke. The apartment wasn't home anymore. It was just a place where I stored my guilt and drank to sleep every night. 2 weeks after Sarah left, her friend Claire came by to pick some things Sarah had forgotten. Claire had been my friend too, or so I thought. We'd double dated, spent weekends to dinner, shared countless dinners and inside jokes. She's staying with her parents, Claire said, not meeting my eyes as she gathered Sarah's books and jewelry. Doesn't want anyone to know where she's living. Is she okay? Claire stopped packing, and looked at me like I'd asked the stupidest question in history. Is she okay? Are seriously asking me that? Her voice started quiet but got louder with each word. She cries herself to sleep every night. She can't eat. She jumps every time her phone buzzes thinking it might be calling to twist though again. I just want to apologize. Want to apologize. Claire laughed bitterly. Want to feel better about. That's what this is about. Guilt, pain, need to be forgiven so can move on. She was right. Even my regret was selfish. She trusted completely. Claire continued, shoving Sarah's jewelry box into a bag with more force than necessary. Do know what she told me the morning after cheated? She said she was worried about. Thought maybe'd been in an accident because never stayed out all night without calling. Each word was a punch to the stomach. She was planning to surprise with concert tickets. That band Love, the one that never comes to town. She'd been saving for months, calling the venue every week to see if more tickets became available. Claire's voice cracked. She was so excited, kept talking about how happy'd be. I remembered that band. Sarah had never liked their music. Said it was too loud, too aggressive, but she'd been planning to sit through a concert just to make me smile. The worst part isn't what did. Claire said, heading for the door with Sarah's belongings. It's that made her doubt herself. She keeps asking what she did wrong. Why she wasn't have worked less, or been more interesting, or tried harder to keep attention. It wasn't her fault. I know that. Know that, but she doesn't. And that's on. Claire paused at the door. She loved with everything she had. And took that pure, honest love and it in the trash for a stranger. After Claire left, I sat on the couch holding one of Sarah's hair ties I'd found between the cushions. Such a small thing. Just a black elastic band. But it smelled like her shampoo and represented everything I'd lost. I thought about calling her parents' house. Driving over there, camping outside until she agreed to talk to me. But what would I say? That I was sorry. That it meant nothing. That I'd changed. None of that was good enough. Sorry doesn't unbreak a heart. Sorry doesn't rebuild trust. Sorry doesn't erase the image of the person love walking away from forever. The red shoes sat on my dresser like a monument to my selfishness. Every morning I'd see them and remember the man I used to be. The man who worked extra shifts and skipped meals to make his girlfriend smile. The man who was worth loving. That man was gone. And the stranger wearing his face was someone I didn't recognize. Someone who chose temporary pleasure over lasting love. Someone who destroyed the best thing in his, and then had the audacity to ask for forgiveness. I realized then that some things can't be fixed. Some mistakes are too big, too deep, too much to ever heal, and some people like me, don't deserve second chances. The avalanche was just beginning. 6 months after Sarah left, I saw her at the grocery store. I was buying in frozen dinners, the diet of a man who'd given on himself. She was in the produce section, picking out tomatoes with the same careful attention she used to give everything in her. She looked different. Thinner, but not in a healthy way. Her hair was shorter, styled differently. She wore clothes I didn't recognize. Like she was trying to become someone new. Someone who'd never loved a man enough to throw her away. I almost left, should have left. But I couldn't help. I needed to see her face to know if she was okay, to apologize one more time even though I knew it wouldn't change anything. Sarah. She turned, and for a split second, I saw something flicker across her face. Not love. Not even recognition. Just a brief flash of pain before her expression went completely blank. Hi, Marcus. My name in her mouth sounded foreign. Like she was speaking a dead language. Look good, I lied. She looked fragile, like she might break if the wind hit her wrong. Polite. Distant. The Wade talked to a stranger who'd asked for directions. We stood there in the produce section with the fluorescent lights humming overhead and other shoppers pushing past us. And I realized this was it. This was all I'd get. A chance encounter in a grocery store. Two people who used to share everything reduced to small talk between the apples and oranges. I've been wanting to call. I said. Please don't. I just need to know how sorry I am. How much, Marcus? Her voice was quiet but firm. I can't do this. She started to walk away, and panic threw me. This might be the last time I ever saw her. Chance to make her understand. I quit drinking. I called after her. I'm in therapy. I'm trying to fix the. She stopped but didn't turn around. I'm glad her getting help should. But not for me, that ship sailed. Sarah, please. I know I don't deserve it, but can we just talk, can we? I'm engaged. 3 words. 3 small words that hit me like a physical. The shopping cart I was leaning on felt like the only thing keeping me upright. She turned then, and I saw something I'd never seen in her eyes before when she looked at me. Pity. His name is David. He's a teacher at the school where I work now. He's kind and honest, and he's never made me question my worth. Her voice stayed steady. Matter of fact. He proposed last month. We're getting married in the spring. My mouth opened but no words came out. What could I say? Congratulations, I'm happy for. I hope he treats better than I did. All of it would have been lies except the last one. I need to go, she said. David's making dinner tonight. He's trying out a new recipe. She paused, and for just a moment the mask slipped. He cooks for me, Marcus. Just because he likes seeing me happy. She walked away then, pushing her cart toward the checkout lanes, leaving me standing there among the produce like a scarecrow. Empty. Useless. A warning to other shoppers about what happens when good things go bad. I didn't buy anything that day. I left my cart in the aisle and walked to my truck in a daze. Sat there for 20 minutes watching Sarah load groceries into a silver sedan I didn't recognize. Watched her drive away to a that would never include me again. The drive home was a blur. I kept thinking about David. This man I'd never met who was everything I wasn't. Who cooked dinner just to see Sarah smile. Who proposed because he couldn't imagine without her. Who probably held her when she woke from nightmares about men who broke promises. At home. I pulled out my phone and did something I'd sworn I wouldn't do. I looked her on social media. She'd unblocked me at some point. Maybe she'd moved on enough that seeing my name didn't anymore. Maybe she just forgot I existed. The photos told a story I didn't want to read. Sarah at a restaurant, laughing at something off camera. Sarah at a hiking trail I'd never taken her to, looking genuinely happy. Sarah with a man who had kind eyes and an easy smile. His arm around her waist like he belonged there. Like I used to belong there. There were dozens of pictures. Vacations I'd never given her. Adventures I'd never planned. Simple moments of joy with a man who clearly worshipped her. The comments were full of friends saying how happy she looked, how perfect they were together, how they'd never seen her glow like this. Glow. That's what I'd taken from her. Her light. Her ability to shine. And here she was, glowing again for someone else. The engagement photos were professional. Artistic. Sarah wore a yellow dress and looked radiant. David looked at her like she'd hung the stars just for him. The ring on her finger caught the light, sparkling like the future they were building together. A future I was never supposed to see. A happiness I had no right to witness. I scrolled through months of posts, watching Sarah rebuild her piece by piece. New job, new apartment, new friends, new hobbies. A new version of herself that had grown around the wound I'd left, stronger for having survived it. And David was in all of it. Not just as a boyfriend, but as a partner. Someone who supported her dreams, celebrated her victories, held her through the bad days. Someone who chose her every single day and made sure she knew it. I found studying his face in the photos, looking for flaws, hoping he was secretly controlling or boring or unworthy of her. In some way that would make me feel less like the villain in this story. But I could see it in his eyes. The same look I used to have when I looked at Sarah. Before I got lazy. Before I took her for granted. Before I convinced I deserved more than the perfect woman who already loved me. David looked at Sarah the way I should have kept looking at her. Like she was a gift he couldn't believe was his. The wedding planning posts started appearing a month later. Sarah trying on dresses. David learning to dance. Their families meeting for the first time. Everyone beaming like they were witnessing something magical. Because they were. They were witnessing two people who chose each other, completing it. Who built trust instead of breaking it. Who planned a future together. Instead of destroying it for a stranger in a downtown loft. I closed the app, and my phone across the room. It hit the wall and clattered to the floor. The screen cracking like my heart had cracked that night I came home smelling like betrayal. The red shoes were still on my dresser. Dusty now. A monument to the man I used to be and the woman I'd lost. Sometimes I'd catch looking at them, and remembering that day at the store when Sarah tried them on, how her whole face lit. How she'd done a little spin in front of the mirror and asked if they made her look taller. Look perfect. I'd told her then. And I'd meant it. Now those shoes sat in my empty apartment like evidence of a crime. The crime of taking love for granted. Of choosing over loyalty. Of being too to know what I had until I'd thrown it away. Work was the only thing that kept me sane. Physical labor that exhausted my body and quieted my mind. I into it with desperate intensity, working doubles and weekends, taking on the jobs nobody else wanted. The guys stopped asking about Sarah. Stopped making jokes about my situation. They could see I was drowning and had decided to just let me sink in peace. Maya had moved on to other projects months ago. But sometimes I'd see her around town. She'd smile and wave like we were old friends. Like she had no idea she'd been part of destroying the best thing in my. Or maybe she knew and just didn't care. I never waved back. Therapy helped, I guess. Gave me words for what I'd done wrong. Helped me understand why I'd made such a catastrophically choice. But understanding doesn't equal forgiveness, and knowing why broken doesn't automatically make whole. Or punishing, Dr. Martinez said during one session. Self-destruction isn't the same as growth. She was right. I was wallowing, choosing misery because I thought I deserved it. But even my suffering was selfish. Sarah had moved on, built anew, found someone who deserved her love. My pain didn't honor what we'd had. It just kept the wound fresh. The wedding announcement in my social media feed on a Tuesday morning in March. A professional photo of Sarah and David, her in white lace, him in a navy suit, both of them glowing with joy. Mr. and Mrs. David Chen. The caption read, married March 15th in a ceremony surrounded by family and friends. I stared at that photo for a long time. Sarah looked radiant. Complete. Like she'd found the missing piece of herself in this man, who'd never broken a promise to her. Who'd never made her question her worth. Who'd probably never even looked at another woman the way I looked at Maya. The comments were full of congratulations, heart emojis, and photos from the wedding. Sarah dancing with her father. Sarah and David the cake. Sarah throwing the bouquet to a crowd of laughing women. In every single photo she looked happy. Not the cautious, guarded happiness of someone who'd been and was learning to trust again. But pure, uncomplicated joy. The joy of someone who'd found their person and knew, without doubt, that they were loved completely in return. I wondered if David knew about me. If Sarah had told him about the man who'd worked under the burning sun to buy her shoes, then thrown her away for a stranger. If he'd promised to be better, to choose her every day, to never make her doubt her worth. I hoped he had. I hoped he knew how precious what he held in his hands was. How easily it could be lost. How many men like me would give anything for a chance to love someone the way Sarah deserved to be loved. I closed the app for the last time that day. Deleted it from my phone. Some stories aren't meant for the people who cause them to end. That night, I took the red shoes to Goodwill. Let someone else give them to a woman who'd appreciate them. A woman who'd wear them to dinner dates and anniversary celebrations. And all the happy moments I'd stolen from Sarah. The apartment felt even emptier without them. But it was the right kind of empty. The clean slate kind. The starting over kind. I'm 32 years old and I'm alone, not the romantic, mysterious kind of alone. The consequences of choices kind. The made bed now, lie in it kind. I work. I go to therapy. I fix things around the apartment. I read books and learn new skills, and try to become someone worthy of the next woman who might take a chance on me. But late at night, when the silence gets too loud, I think about Sarah. About we could have had. About the house we might have bought. The children who might have carried her smile and my stubborn streak. About growing old together. Telling stories about how we met, holding hands in rocking chairs on a front porch somewhere. I think about all of it. And then I remember, I chose to throw it away. I chose one night with a stranger over a lifetime with the woman I loved. And now Sarah is Mrs. David Chen. Building with a man who deserves her, while I sit in an empty apartment learning what it means to live with irreversible choices. Some mistakes don't get fixed. Some hearts don't get second chances. Some bridges, once burned, leave stranded on the wrong side of what could have been. I work under the burning sun carrying heavy sacks. Saving secretly. Just to buy her the shoes she wanted. And when the moment came to choose between her and my selfish desires, I discovered my love wasn't worth the leather it was wrapped in.